and sort of like do an A to Z demonstration of all of the different aspects that we discussed. So basically starting from gesture and then looking at perspective. And then looking at form. And then even shading. And these are the major building blocks that we've discussed. And I want to do it by sort of like reproducing this this panel that I did for my manga. So that's what we're gonna do today, and I'm gonna talk through like basically everything that I do when I'm creating it, and sort of like how I'm thinking about incorporating each one of these aspects that were discussed during the course. So that's going to be that. And yeah, I guess we can start. So just to give you a little bit of a background about this image, this is basically, I don't know if you ever looked at my manga. It's kind of like, it's stuck right now. There's like a chapter and a half. It's in the description, so you can check it out if you want. But basically, the guys fell into like a city, and a whole like sci-fi city in the ground, and they fell right into a sort of a battle arena. And they started. There's this battle with this cat character, and in this specific panel, we have basically Chinchin Man that a lot of you are familiar with, getting shot at, and there's like an explosion. Like basically, he's jumping to evade these like huge explosions. And so basically, what you see is you have him evading the explosion in the air, and in the background, you have sort of like the pillars that the arena itself is made of. It's kind of like a sci-fi gladiators thingy, and the night sky of the city and buildings and all that stuff. And so I'm going to try to recreate this image. I'm going to try to do it just a little bit different, so to not get bored, because I already drew it once. And I guess we can start by kind of like walking through each one of the steps. So to start an image like this, I would usually go from gesture. And so what I mean by gesture when I look at something like this is like, it's really something that I have to, that needs to make sense for me, for the most part, right? So let's see, you can do it like this. This is me trying to establish like the basic composition that I want. And at this stage, it's just it should be a lot of trial and error to try to get it right. So I'm just thinking about like my main arena and how to place the different objects in the scene. I think it's really important, like if you frame your image in a thumbnail, it really helps to kind of like see the overall proportions that you're looking at. So I'm doing that. And so I'm just starting by, and again, this doesn't have to be in any way, shape, or form exact. It just needs to make sense for the most part to you. So I'm just trying to establish my stadium at this stage and really think about what my image looks like. So I'm thinking about the explosion. Again, really rough. You can call this a gesture. It only needs to make sense to you. So And let's see, I'm gonna see how to place the character. You see, so it really doesn't need to be beautiful. It needs to be somewhat legible to you, again, to you specifically. And so we have Chinchaman. And then in the back, we have like the giant robot that he's attached to. And one problem that I have is that basically, for the most part, their bodies are synced. But if I'm going to put the robot's leg here, it's going to kind of like hide the main character. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to try to find a way to have them pose just a little bit differently. So maybe. And right off the bat, like one thing that I notice is that like the character just feels way too big in my scene. So I'm just going to go ahead. And because we're working digitally, I can do this. Right? I don't know if you can even understand what I'm drawing right now, but again, it needs to make sense to you. Rat Enjoyer, thank you. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna maybe try to place his hands like this. And maybe make him even smaller. Or maybe just, yeah, like so. I love that we have Rat Enjoyer and Cat Enjoyer. All right, so like if we're talking about the gesture part, this is my gesture part. Like this is as far as it goes. I don't know if you guys can understand what we have here, but I'll try to walk you through what my gesture means. So I started by thinking about the back of the arena. Which, let me turn this, maybe turn this off. Okay, put it here. I tried to look at the back of the arena here. And that helped me establish the perspective. You see? And then I placed my character. So I have a rough pose for my character here. And the robot and the explosion. Right? So basically, I have these three parts: arena, character, and explosion. All right. So, and I just, I guess what I want to explain about this is that, you know, when you think about gesture, it's really, it's really a good practice to kind of think about it as something that is a blueprint for you to understand where you're going and really not waste a lot of time about it on it. Sorry. Okay, so once I have this established, the next thing that I will usually do is now, because we're working digitally, we can go in and kind of like establish our perspective with the rulers that we have in Procreate. So I'm going to do that. And that way we're going to have like a perfect perspective grid to work with. So I'll show you how to do that. But even if we weren't doing that, you would just be doing this by hand. We're just doing this to save time, and I think it's just a good tool to learn. So, all right, so we go here, drawing guide, edit, perspective, and you can see that this is where the eye level that we established is around here. And it's a 2-point, so I'm going to try to align it with my sketch, something like that. Right, and that will allow us to go in and have something of a more accurate perspective. I'm going to lower the opacity of this layer. And usually for myself, I might go like right into actually trying to draw this, but I'm going to do this in a couple more stages as opposed to going right in, because I think, if you're more of a beginner, or not even that, I just think, it's good to know the entire process. And when you feel very, very comfortable with it, you can start maybe eliminating some of the stages if you feel like this is easier for you. So as you can see, because this is where the arena is at on the back, like so, we're basically looking, we're looking to the inside of the stadium from, I guess, from one of these guys, from the inside of one of these places. And now I can use my perspective grid to have it just a little bit more established, right? And this is still like a sketch stage. Right, so by this stage, I kind of consider my perspective to be done, right? My gesture is done and my perspective is done. That was really, really quick. And now we can get into everybody's favorite, which is try to look at these things from a formulaic standpoint. So looking at form, essentially. All right, so I'm going to go kind of like traditional box mannequin to really understand the form in this guy. I think for this character, for Chin Chin Man, it's easy to just use a box like this for the head, because his proportions are such that his head is kind of like this cartoony head on top of a kind of like funny muscular body. So I'm gonna do that. If you have questions, feel free. And it's basically everything that we've been talking about. right? So breaking down this pose, I'm feeling like he's a little bit too twisted. And I'm going to go ahead and do the calves. And what we're doing right now is like we're just solving a lot of problems, like all the problems that we'll have. We're solving it, all the problems ahead of time. And I want to show you something. So one thing that you can think about is, look, again, this becomes kind of complex, but if you really think about it, you can find the perspective here. For this guy, and it's closely resembling the perspective for everything, but it doesn't have to really. All right, I'm going to continue with the robot. And the main plate for the robot is basically this. So all I need to do is basically twist it in perspective like we talked about, like so. Oh, it's really hot. It's really hot in here. It's really hot. And actually, this pose feels a little bit stale, but I'm going to continue with it. And as you can see, like it's starting to shape up differently to what it was like when we did the gesture, because you start